The signal. Commander Julian Winters checked the chronometer on his wrist for the third time in 10 minutes. The quantum scanner results were taking longer than usual, but that was to be expected when surveying the Obsidian Expanse, a region of space notorious for distorting conventional sensor readings. From the observation deck of Artemis 7, Earth's most distant research station, the expanse appeared as a vast emptiness where stars seemed reluctant to shine. "Anything interesting, Lieutenant Khatri?" Winters asked, his voice breaking the hushed silence of the dimly lit command center. Lieutenant Priya Khatri's fingers danced across her console with practiced precision. "Just the usual quantum fluctuations, sir. Nothing we haven't." She stopped abruptly, her brow furrowing as she leaned closer to her screen. "Wait, that's not possible." Winters moved to her station with 3 long strides. "What have you got?" "A signal, sir, extremely faint but unmistakably artificial. It's coming from deep within the expanse." Khatri's voice held a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "It's repeating on a 23.4-second cycle with mathematical precision." "Could be equipment malfunction. Run a diagnostic," Winters ordered, though something in his gut told him this was no glitch. Khatri's fingers moved rapidly. "Diagnostics clear, sir. Signal verified across 3 independent systems." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "According to the timestamps and decay analysis, this signal has been broadcasting continuously for approximately 6,200 years." Winters felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's temperature controls. "Get me Earth Command and contact Dr. Volkov. If anyone can make sense of this, it's her." Within 12 hours, Dr. Nadia Volkov arrived on Artemis 7 via emergency quantum transport. A legend in xenolinguistics, Volkov had deciphered the communication systems of 3 non-human civilizations. She entered the command center with purposeful strides, her silver-streaked black hair pulled back in a severe bun. "Show me everything," she said without preamble. Khatri pulled up the signal analysis on the main display. "It repeats flawlessly, Doctor. We've detected embedded patterns within patterns, potentially a form of complex encoding." Volkov studied the waveforms, her expression growing increasingly troubled. "This isn't just a beacon, it's a message. No, more like a warning." She connected her personal quantum tablet to the station's systems. "I've seen something like this before." The display shifted to show ancient hieroglyphs discovered on the dead world of Proxima Centauri IV. These symbols were carved by the Centaurians before their civilization vanished 6,000 years ago. Note the mathematical sequence. She pulled up another image. "And these were found on Tau Ceti Prime, left by another extinct civilization from the same era." The command center fell silent as Volkov displayed archaeological findings from 5 extinct civilizations, all showing variations of the same mathematical sequence embedded in the signal. Dr. Marcus Thorne, the station's xenoarchaeologist, stepped forward, his weathered face pale. "All these civilizations disappeared within a 300-year span. All had achieved interstellar travel. All had sent expeditions to regions near the Obsidian Expanse. And all left behind these warnings," Volkov finished. "When decoded using multiple cross-referential matrices, 3 phrases emerge from the signal. The observer sleeps, maintain the seal, and what sees cannot unsee." Director Haruki Tanaka, the civilian administrator of Artemis 7, cleared his throat. "Are you suggesting these civilizations encountered something in the expanse that led to their extinction?" "That's exactly what I'm suggesting," Volkov replied. "And whatever it was, they used their final resources to contain it and warn others." The debate that followed lasted for days. Earth Command dispatched Admiral Diane Lockhart, a veteran of the Proxima conflict with a reputation for cool pragmatism. The command center of Artemis 7 became the stage for humanity's most consequential decision. "We can't ignore this," Admiral Lockhart argued. "If there's a threat in the expanse, we need to understand it before it understands us." "The evidence strongly suggests we should do exactly that, ignore it," Dr. Thorne countered, his voice rising with uncharacteristic emotion. "These civilizations weren't primitive. They were technologically advanced, possibly more so than us in certain areas. Whatever they encountered was beyond their ability to defeat, only contain." "Which is precisely why we need more information," Lockhart insisted. "We have technologies these ancient species couldn't dream of. If there's something dangerous out there, I'd rather face it prepared than be caught unaware." Director Tanaka looked troubled. "The risk seems excessive, Dr. Volkov, your recommendation." All eyes turned to Volkov, who had been unusually quiet during the debate. Scientifically, I'm curious. Instinctively, I'm terrified. She took a deep breath. But humanity has never advanced by hiding from the unknown. I recommend a carefully crafted response, minimal information, just enough to establish communication. Despite Dr. Thorne's vehement objections, Earth Command authorized a response transmission. The quantum resonance transmitter aboard the science vessel Hyperion, positioned at the edge of the expanse, would deliver humanity's greeting, a simple acknowledgement encoded with basic mathematical principles as proof of intelligence. Commander Winters watched the final preparations from the bridge of the Hyperion, alongside Captain Zara Okonkwo. "Transmission ready, Captain," reported Communications Officer Y. Captain Okonkwo hesitated, looking to Winters. "Any last words of wisdom, Commander?" Winters thought of Thorne's warnings and Volkov's curiosity. Just hopping, we're not answering a door better left unopened. "Transmitting now," Wei announced. The quantum resonance beam fired into the darkness of the obsidian expanse, carrying humanity's greeting across the void. For 22 minutes, nothing happened. Then every system on the Hyperion flickered simultaneously. The lights dimmed before flaring to blinding intensity. Displays showed impossible readings, time dilations, gravity fluctuations, quantum states existing simultaneously. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything returned to normal. "What the hell was that?" Okonkwo demanded. Wei's fingers trembled as they moved across his console. Something responded, Captain. Our quantum systems registered a massive data influx for 4.7 seconds, far beyond our processing capacity. On Artemis 7, the effects were even more pronounced. For a brief moment, crew members reported experiencing the same moment repeatedly, as if caught in a temporal loop. Equipment recorded phantom energy signatures throughout the station. And Dr. Thorne discovered something terrifying. "These aren't natural disturbances," he explained to the assembled leadership, displaying sensor readings from across the sector. "They're ripples in spacetime spreading outward from the expanse in a spiral pattern, and they're accelerating." Within days, the anomalies reached Outpost Theta 2, the furthest human settlement from Earth. All communications ceased abruptly. The rescue team found the outpost physically intact but devoid of life. 118 colonists vanished without a trace. Security recordings showed only darkness flowing like liquid through sealed chambers and colonists standing motionless, staring at nothing before simply ceasing to be. As the anomalies spread, Dr. Volkov made a breakthrough in translating additional components of the ancient signal. Working with Thorne, she discovered references to 7 massive structures positioned strategically around the obsidian expanse. "They're containment nodes," she explained to a grim-faced Admiral Lockhart. According to these translations, 7 advanced species came together to build a prison around something they called the Observer, a consciousness that existed before stars, before planets, before time as we understand it. Long-range scans confirmed it. 7 enormous ring-shaped structures positioned in perfect heptagonal formation around the expanse, each nearly the size of Earth's moon. And they were activating, power signatures fluctuating as ancient systems attempted to restore a containment field that had held for millennia. "They're failing," Lieutenant Khatri reported, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever shield these structures generated is breaking down rapidly since our transmission." As if confirming her assessment, a massive energy surge erupted from the obsidian expanse. When sensors cleared, an impossible sight greeted the horrified observers, a region of space where stars simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but erased as if they had never been. This perfect darkness was expanding, moving with unmistakable purpose. Admiral Lockhart called for immediate action. "If these ancient species built a cage for this thing, so can we. We need to understand how these structures work and either repair or replace them." Earth Command assembled a desperate plan. 7 fleet groups would deploy to each structure with scientific teams to analyze and restore the containment technology. As preparations accelerated, Dr. Thorne made one final, disturbing discovery hidden in the signal's deepest encryption layer. "The observer sleeps but it dreams," he translated, face ashen. "In dreams it reaches across time, what it sees it remembers, what it remembers it will seek." Understanding dawned with horrific clarity. "It's not spreading randomly," Thorne told Commander Winters as they boarded the flagship Dauntless. Our transmission didn't just wake it, it gave it a destination. The observer isn't just escaping, it's coming specifically for humanity. We've been seen. The combined fleet of Earth and its colonies departed, humanity's last hope hurtling toward an ancient confrontation they never chose to fight. Behind them, billions looked to the stars, unaware that something in the darkness was looking back, something that had waited patiently for over 6,000 years, something now fully awake. And it was coming, the observer. The UES Dauntless led the desperate armada toward the 7 Sentinel structures, each vessel carrying humanity's brightest minds and most advanced technology. Commander Julian Winters stood on the bridge alongside Admiral Lockhart, watching as the massive ring-shaped constructs grew larger on the viewscreen, ancient technological marvels that had maintained their vigil for millennia until humanity's fateful transmission. Energy readings are fluctuating wildly, reported Lieutenant Khatri from her station. The structures appear to be attempting to reactivate their containment field, but failing to maintain coherence. Dr. Volkov's analysis team had calculated the grim timeline, less than 12 hours before total containment failure. Whatever the ancients had imprisoned was nearly free. Deploy the science teams immediately, ordered Admiral Lockhart. Priority is understanding and restoring the containment technology. 7 teams departed for the structures, each led by specialists in xenotechnology. Dr. Thorne headed for the central control hub on the largest ring, designated Prime Node. As his shuttle approached, the ancient technology responded, dormant interfaces illuminating for the first time in thousands of years. It recognizes our presence, Thorne noted with cautious wonder as his team entered the cavernous facility. The walls pulsed with soft blue light, revealing sweeping arches and geometric patterns that seemed to shift subtly when viewed from different angles. Commander Winters led a security team alongside Thorne's scientists. "Stay alert," he ordered. "We have no idea what automated defenses might still be active." Back on the Dauntless, Dr. Volkov made a troubling discovery while analyzing data streams from the 7 structures. "These aren't just containment devices," she reported to Admiral Lockhart. "They're perception filters, reality anchors designed to limit something's awareness of our universe." "Explain," Lockhart demanded. According to these readings, the ancients didn't physically imprison this entity. They limited its ability to perceive and therefore interact with our reality. Volkov's voice trembled slightly. "The observer exists in dimensions beyond our comprehension. The containment field doesn't hold it back, it blinds it to our existence." "And our transmission gave it eyes," Lockhart concluded grimly. Inside Prime Node, Dr. Thorne and his team discovered a central chamber dominated by a massive crystalline structure suspended in an anti-gravity field. The crystal pulsed erratically, flickering between states of opacity and perfect transparency. "This is it, the core of the containment system," Thorne breathed. "Each of these facets corresponds to one of the other structures. Together, they generate a hyperdimensional barrier." Professor Émile Baptiste, Earth's foremost expert on quantum entanglement, studied the readouts from his scanner. "The system uses principles we've barely theorized. It's manipulating quantum states on a scale I didn't think possible." As they worked to understand the ancient technology, the darkness from the obsidian expanse continued its inexorable advance. 3 more outposts went silent. A colony on Io reported bizarre phenomena, residents experiencing moments of non-existence where they could see but not interact with the world around them, as if temporarily phasing out of reality. In the Prime Node, Commander Winters noticed something disturbing. "Dr. Thorne, look at your team." Thorne turned to see several scientists standing motionless, staring at nothing, their expressions blank. When he called their names, they didn't respond. "Something's affecting their perception," Winters said, moving cautiously toward the nearest scientist, Dr. Lyra Osai. Her eyes tracked his movement, but she gave no indication she recognized him. "What do you see, Dr. Osai?" Thorne asked gently. "Equations," she whispered, "endless equations, reality expressed as mathematics, so beautiful, so complete." A tear slid down her cheek. "It sees the patterns in everything it's trying to understand." Throughout the 7 structures, similar incidents multiplied. Crew members reported seeing impossible geometries, experiencing time out of sequence, or feeling an overwhelming sense of being watched from all directions simultaneously. On the Dauntless, Dr. Volkov worked frantically to translate more of the ancient warnings. "I've found something," she reported. "A record left by the Arcturus Collective, one of the 7 guardian species. They described the observer as the first consciousness, something that existed in the void before the universe took form, awakened by the emergence of the first stars. "What does it want?" Admiral Lockhart asked. "To understand," Volkov replied. "The Arcturians believed it perceives reality differently than we do, sees patterns and connections we can't comprehend. When it focuses its attention on something, it begins to deconstruct it. Not maliciously, but like a child taking apart a toy to see how it works." "Except we're the toy," Lockhart said grimly. In Prime Node, Professor Baptiste made a breakthrough. "The crystal array is a quantum harmonic resonator," he explained. "It generates a field that prevents the observer from fully resolving our reality in its perception. But the system is failing because the crystalline matrices have degraded over millennia." "Can we repair them?" Winters asked. "Not with the materials we have," Baptiste replied. "But we might be able to recalibrate the existing system, use our quantum technology to amplify what remains of the original field." Their planning was interrupted by a startled cry from one of the security officers. At the far end of the chamber, darkness pooled like liquid shadow flowing against gravity. Where it touched the floor, matter simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but unmade, returned to constituent particles. "It's here," Thorne whispered. The darkness coalesced into a shifting form, sometimes resembling a spider-like creature with too many limbs, sometimes a perfect sphere, sometimes a cascade of fractals that hurt the human mind to perceive. Whatever it truly was remained beyond human comprehension, their brains desperately attempting to interpret something that existed beyond three-dimensional space. Those who looked directly at it froze, their eyes widening as if seeing something of impossible beauty and terror. One by one, they began to dissolve, their bodies breaking down into constituent particles that flowed toward the darkness. "Don't look at it," Winters shouted, pulling Dr. Thorne behind a console. "Direct perception connects you to it." Throughout the 7 structures, similar manifestations appeared. The observer had found them. Dr. Volkov's voice came urgently over the comms. "The Guardian species used their combined consciousness as a power source for the containment field. That's why it's failing. There's no one left to maintain it. The technology is intact, but it needs conscious minds to provide the quantum coherence necessary for the field." Professor Baptiste looked at the central crystal, his expression grim. "We need to link our minds to the system, become the new Guardians." "That would take thousands of trained minds," Thorne argued. "We don't have enough people with the necessary skills, let alone the time to train them." "We don't need thousands," Baptiste replied quietly. "The system is designed to amplify consciousness. We just need enough volunteers to form the initial quantum entanglement. Once established, we can expand it to include others." The implication hung heavy in the air. Whoever formed that initial connection would be permanently bound to the system, their consciousness stretched across space and time, forever vigilant. As the darkness grew, consuming more of the chamber, Baptiste made his decision. "I'll do it. My mind is already trained for quantum calculations." "Not alone," said Dr. Lyra Osei, who had recovered from her trance-like state. "The equations I saw, I understand them now. They're consciousness transferal protocols. This will take multiple minds working in harmony." Across the 7 structures, similar conversations took place as the nature of the sacrifice became clear. In the end, 21 volunteers, 3 at each structure, prepared to link their minds to the ancient system. "The containment field will restore once we're connected," Baptiste explained to Commander Winters. "But there's something else, something the ancients didn't tell us. The 7 species didn't just fade away, they became the Guardians. Their civilizations sacrificed everything to maintain the seal." The darkness had consumed half the chamber now, reality unraveling at its edges. There was no more time. "Do it," Winters ordered. Baptiste activated the system. Energy surged through the crystal array, arcing to connect with the 3 volunteers. Their bodies went rigid, eyes wide as their consciousness expanded beyond physical limitations. Across all 7 structures, the same process unfolded as 21 minds joined together across vast distances. The crystal flared blindingly bright. For a moment, Winters thought he saw ghostly figures surrounding the volunteers. Entities with too many limbs or eyes or no recognizable features at all, the echoes of the original Guardian species reaching across time to join their successors. The darkness recoiled. Throughout the structures, the manifestations of the observer withdrew, pulled back toward the obsidian expanse by the reinstating containment field. The seven rings blazed with renewed energy, generating a hyperdimensional barrier that once again blinded the ancient consciousness to human reality. In Prime Node, the three volunteers remained standing, but their eyes had changed, pupilless and reflective like polished obsidian. When Baptiste spoke, his voice resonated strangely, as if multiple voices spoke in perfect unison. "The seal is restored," he said. "We see it now, the patterns, the connections. The observer is curious. It does not mean harm, but its attention is destruction to beings like us. It must remain unaware of our existence." "Baptiste," Winters asked cautiously, "are you still in there?" A smile touched the professor's lips. "We are more than we were and less. We are the new guardians now. We will watch the watcher." In the days that followed, humanity retreated from the obsidian expanse, establishing a permanent quarantine zone around the region. The 21 volunteers remained with the structures, their consciousness spread across the containment system, no longer fully human but something else, something necessary. On Earth, debates raged about the ethics of their sacrifice and the implications of what they had discovered. The knowledge that humanity was not the first to face the observer, nor likely the last, changed their perspective on their place in the cosmos. Commander Winters stood on the observation deck of Artemis 7, now repurposed as a monitoring station for the containment field. The obsidian expanse looked no different than before, a region where stars seemed reluctant to shine. Dr. Thorne joined him, his face haggard from weeks of work analyzing the data they'd recovered. "We've confirmed that 7 previous cycles of Guardians maintained the seal before us, each lasting roughly 6 to 8,000 years before failing." "And when we fail," Winters asked. "If we're wise, we'll prepare the next Guardians," Thorne replied. "That's what the signal was originally, not just a warning but instructions. The previous Guardians knew they were failing and left behind the knowledge we would need when the time came." Winters considered this. "We answered the wrong question. We asked what was out there when we should have asked why the signal existed at all." "A lesson for the future," Thorne said quietly. "Some doors shouldn't be opened, some signals shouldn't be answered." In the silence that followed, both men contemplated the vast darkness beyond the viewport and the ancient consciousness that dwelled there, dreaming, watching, waiting. The observer had been denied this time, but the new Guardians had seen its true nature. In their reports, transmitted before their transformation, they described an entity of incomprehensible age and power, perceiving the universe through mathematics beyond human understanding. The seal would hold for another few thousand years. Whether humanity would be wiser when it began to fail again remained to be seen. Until then, 21 consciousness looked outward from the 7 sentinels, their perception stretched across dimensions, maintaining humanity's blind spot in the gaze of something ancient and patient and terribly, terribly curious. Something that would never stop watching.